Hello, you. Today you find me at my workbench, taking a look at some of the wonderful found materials that I'm going to make some terrain suitable for Warhammer, or probably Dungeons and Dragons. In this case, it's the human skeleton bits from the Skillcraft model that I found. Now, of course, this model is incomplete, but you can easily see that there's many uses for such a skeleton. And I like to do some sketches and figure things out and then move forward from there.
So obviously with the number of bones that we have here, there's plenty of things we can do. Latest inspirations. So, I've been playing Don't Starve. So in that game, there is the shipwrecked thing where you can find something, X marks the spot. So I figure if there's any odd couplings of these bones that don't actually make up a proper full bone, I can kind of lay them flat and cut them and make just like an X marks the spot marker for a map, which would be amusing in many different ways. So it's interesting to do that because, again, these bones are pretty much, all the large ones are in two parts that kind of fit together with these little tabs. So I definitely want to get the ones that have a really good fit. I want to keep them whole. But the other ones that are just kind of random, yeah, I'll do something else. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was, like, I saw a bunch of Bigfoot people, and they had, like, a weird, like, very, obviously, a very fake Bigfoot thing. But what it was is just a bunch of tree branches stuck kind of like a teepee to make, like, a massive, like, hut. And so I saw that, and I thought that would be something cool. But then I also thought of your classic thing, like, maybe like a lean-to. Like, it'd be cool to have, like, a lean-to that was, like, made of bones. So, like, a lean-to made out of bones. But then maybe just, like, a rough structure. Like, if I made a proper lean-to and it was covered up, then you wouldn't get, like, that cool, like, you would cover up the bones, basically. A kobold might make, where they would just, like, kind of, like, just do a quick little, like, not so much a shelter, but just kind of, like, maybe they either scavenged or saved some of the bones from a big hunt, and then they just made a small, like, pile that looked a little bit like a lean-to, which was more like just kind of like a structure that wasn't meant to keep out the elements, but more like maybe a structure that was meant to keep out intruders as like a warning. It's just like, yeah, we literally made a lean-to out of this massive creature's bones, so you better watch out. You better not hang out here. So I was thinking something like that. Obviously, I think the Bigfoot TP type thing would take quite a lot more bones. I have a lot of these, but I don't necessarily want to waste them. I have 5 incomplete bags of these bones, so I do want to do specific giant terrain where, like, it's basically, you know, the bones of, like, a dead giant, like, on the ground as, like, a full bit of terrain. And I kind of want to do the classic thing there, where it's just, like, there's just a massive giant on the ground, and maybe I can, like, use one of the weapons that I found for various toys or something, and just have a massive, like, broken weapon next to the giant. So that would be kind of cool, just for terrain as well. So that's what I'm looking at here. And what I think I want to do today is work on the little lean-to / little, like, warning structure. Because it would be really cool for D&D, not just for, like, you know, cover or something like that, which it might be good for, but also just as a mood setter. So, you know, perhaps the player characters understand that they're wandering into an area where there's like dangerous stuff happening. So I think I'm going to work on this today and start putting together these bones for that. Like every found object craft, this had its start with preparing the materials. These, I think, were intended to be just kind of pushed together and snapped into place with the little pegs that were on each piece. However, this product actually wasn't the greatest in terms of molding and everything. You can see here I'm drilling out one of the holes that was accidentally filled in the mold, and so I ended up using super glue to put all these bones together. Well, not all of them. I have several of these sets, and so this incomplete set I'm using partially for this little bone lean-to. Also, to clip stuff together, sometimes those little office binder clips really work out great for something like this. And now that I had the main form, everything else would come together quite quickly. I knew I wanted to put part of the rib cage on the back as kind of like a covering, and some of the other bones sort of as cross pieces around the back and side. And yeah, so that ended up working out pretty good. I had to clip the one little forearm bone here, I think it was. I had to clip that a little bit to fit that into place, but afterwards it fit in quite nicely. This is actually the first time that I have ever used super glue accelerant. Yeah, it's just something I've never really used before. It's just something that supposedly makes the drying time of super glue very quick. It worked out pretty well in this product. It worked out pretty well with this project, rather. This is the Army Painter accelerator that I'm using right now. And I used some of the bone plates there on the side, and bingo bango, a very strong little structure that was all set to be primed up. Once again, the Vallejo Mecha Primer. I love this stuff. For most materials, this will bond incredibly well, and you'll have a nice durable surface that your paint will get a really good adhesion on. And I like this stuff. So this is the ivory stuff. So I was left with a little bit of a bizarre looking coat of primer on here, but for a project like this, you don't have to be perfect, and I think this will look great once the paint is on regardless. I just used some Reaper bone paints, from Dirty Bone to Splintered White Bone, and then a little bit of Dragon White right on the top. I ended up doing a double dry brush, wash, and then dry brush to get the final result. And while I don't think I got a perfect paint job on this, you know what? It's good enough for the table. And frankly, this is one of those paint jobs that actually looks much nicer from a good 3 feet away. And, as I was looking at this thing, like, clearly this could be used for a lot of different stuff on a D&D map. For some reason, I thought this would make a really nice mine marker. Like, you're going into a haunted mine, and people have built up, like, this bone entryway. And there you can see some of my owlbears hanging out next to the bone, lean-to. But yeah, I liked the effect that the dried super glue with the accelerant, the little texture bit that you can see there. I really liked how that worked. And these bones actually did have a little bit of texture on them already. So I think this is a great starting project of what to do with these random finds. Again, I found these at the Goodwill by the pound, and I have a lot of ideas, and I think this really is something that I want to do. I had the idea of doing a set of wagons made out of bones. For some reason, for some weird reason, like a train, like a locomotion made out, like a locomotive, like made out of bones, that stuck out to me. Here you can see some of the texture from the quick dried super glue, and yeah, that's an interesting texture that you get with that quick dry super glue stuff with the activator. It is interesting, and I can certainly think of more projects that I want to use that with. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching that video, and I'm going to be doing more crafting projects in the near future. As always, the links are down below if you want to support the channel in any way. T-shirts,
the Patreon and everything like that. And yeah, if you want to share one of my videos that you really liked, just get out there and share it with your friends and whatnot, then that would help out a lot.